People ask me, why do I ride a motorbike through Africa, and why do I keep coming back to Africa? Some of them think I'm crazy. Sometimes I think I'm crazy. There's just the challenge. It's like nowhere else in the world. What words do I use to describe it? This is Africa. There's 16 of us riding from Cairo to Cape Town. 17,000 kilometres, 11 countries. 1 minute you're fearing for your life, the next minute you're laughing with someone you've just met. We're going to be crossing 11 countries: Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, Malawi, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Namibia, then South Africa. It's just crazy, and no matter how experienced you are riding a motorbike, until you've seen what it's like to ride through Africa, you've got no idea. Beyond imagination. Riding a motorcycle is dangerous. You're out in the elements, you're not surrounded by a metal cage. Everybody that rides a motorbike knows the risk.
Do you know how many you see?
One.
Yeah? Okay, just look straight
Africa is dangerous as well. Well, you put those two together and, well, it's not for everyone. It's tough to be away from home for that length of time, be away from your family. There'll certainly be times when I will be thinking I'd prefer to be at home. You're in a very small group of people if you've ridden a motorbike from Cairo to Cape Town.
Africa, it's amazing, challenging, wonderful, frustrating, beautiful, welcoming. I don't think that there are enough words to describe Africa, but once you've traveled through it, it stays with you forever. It kind of gets in your soul. Ewan McGregor and I traveled the length of Africa when we made a TV series called Long Way Down. For me, it was a life-changing adventure, and my love of Africa started then. Now, 10 years on, my good friend Jack Wilkins is preparing to take a group of fellow motorbike riders from one end of Africa to the other. They're riding from Cairo to Cape Town. It will be fascinating to see what, if anything, has changed in that time. And Ewan and I both know Africa is full of challenges. And it will be really interesting to watch Jack and his team ride through this incredible continent.
There are over 85 million people living in Egypt, and in some Cairo suburbs, the population density is more than 100,000 people per square kilometre. It's a daunting place to start a motorcycle journey. But before these 16 riders can even contemplate navigating through this densely populated city, they need to collect their motorbikes from the docks. But that's proving to be a difficult task.
We're at the port in Alexandria. Up behind me there is the sea containers. 4 of those have got all our bikes in. And with a bit of luck, in a few hours, well, maybe more than a few hours, we'll have those bikes out. Everyone's waiting and hoping.
Waiting and waiting and waiting. Egyptian time.
All 16 bikes from different parts of the world are locked in shipping containers at the port of Alexandria, and local authorities are not making it easy to get them out.
We're still waiting and don't know a lot, but paperwork's being done, and we're going to get into this port shortly, and we're not leaving until we get the bikes. Today's the day.
Despite Jack's determination, day soon turns to night and still no bikes. It's now been 4 full days waiting at the port. But fortunately, after some high-level diplomatic phone calls, Jack finally gets the breakthrough he needs, and they get access to their bikes.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept of having a schedule working in Africa. We're 2 days behind the bit of paper that we got, that's for sure.
There are 16 riders in the group, from Australia, England, America, Canada, and France.
But then Africa wasn't your first choice, was it? I sort of said Africa, and Stu was like, oh, Max, can we go anywhere else but Africa?
Yeah.
Can we just do South America, or can we do Asia again, or can we ride around Cambodia? I was like, no, we're doing Africa. I was like, Max, everyone's gonna kill us.
Yeah, I have to say, Africa's, I'm looking forward to Africa, but I do have some reservations about sort of what it's going to be like, but I'm hoping that Africa is going to surprise me.
The youngest rider is just 23, and the oldest is 74.
Now or never, you know. I'm mid-70s, and I've got to start knocking them off before I get too comatose.
In recent years, Egypt has been battling extremism, so the Egyptian authorities have assigned security to protect the group.
We've got a bloke over there with an Uzi hanging off of his belt, who's been assigned to us to give us some sort of protection, because there's been a few dramas in Egypt lately, and things aren't going to improve here. If anything, it'll get worse.
The security measures range from individuals carrying submachine guns to police and military convoys traveling with the bikes.
With everything that's going on in the world now, with the fall of the Egyptian government in 2012, I think we're the first motorbike group to come into Egypt since that's happened. And
and the thing with Africa, it's one of those places that it's always changing, and so you never know what's going to happen, I think.
Yeah.
And that's half the fun and what makes it scary.
We've had 7 days here, and it's just been too long. It's been good to get on the bikes and just to get going. It'd be fantastic. So looking forward to it.
Diagnosed with diabetes type 1 about 3 weeks ago. So I'm on a very steep learning curve on how to manage that process. I certainly wasn't prepared to let it hinder what I wanted to do here, but that's certainly a challenge.
Our lucky charm in here as well. This is what my mum gave me before I left. Lucky charm from mum. Cheers, mum. Just what I need.
You know, they are a special breed. They come from all walks of life. Young fellas here that have just done all the overtime they can for the last 2 years to save up to do this trip and buy a bike. And then you've got other people that have, retired and got all the time and lifelong plans to do this. The thing that draws them all together is throwing your leg over a motorcycle in the morning, turning the key, dabbing the starter motor, and away you go. And do you know what? It doesn't matter how much money you got, where you've been, what you've done, who you are. When you get on that bike, it's just, you're a motorcyclist.
The group have been in Egypt for about a week, and pretty much all they've seen is the container terminal and a hotel room. It feels good to be finally on the road. First stop, where else? The Pyramids of Giza. After such a frustrating start to the journey, it feels almost surreal to be standing in the shadows of one of the 7 wonders of the world. Built over 5,000 years ago, and whose mysteries are still largely unsolved. Egypt is where so much of our modern world started. Many engineering principles originated here. Early architecture, tools, technology, but it's also where bureaucracy was born 5,000 years ago. Which of course makes perfect sense after the bureaucratic nightmare surrounding the bikes this week. The next challenge is leaving the hotel.
There's 10 million cops fighting about whether I can leave the parking lot or not. It's ridiculous, man. It's so frustrating and annoying.
With all the security concerns, the local police, while trying to protect the group, are frustrating everybody. This morning, a large contingent of police are assigned to guide the group out of Cairo, but it's also slowing progress. And with 540 kilometers to ride today, everybody is keen to get on the road. It's easy to criticize the Egyptian authorities for their security procedures, but terrorism is very real here, and the police are trying to ensure their safe passage through Egypt.
There's always a risk. You know, there's a risk crossing the road. Everyone will tell you that you'll be run over by a bus. You've got to give it a go. And, you know, to not do it is a bigger risk. I've spent a lot of time in Africa and I've been to lots of places and met some wonderful people, and I've had my temper and patience tested at times, and I've smiled like I've never smiled before. What brings me back all the time is that little bit of craziness. You know, nobody could just walk into something like this and say, I'm 100% confident I'm going to do the whole thing and it's going to be easy. For sure, it's pushing you every single day. You've got to be strong inside yourself, that's for sure.
With a population of 22 million people, Cairo is the most populated city in Africa. Riding through the heavy traffic is a baptism of fire for many of the group. From Cairo, they ride alongside the Suez Canal for most of the day. Even with police escorts, there are constant stops at security checkpoints.
Yet another police hold-up, waiting for us to all regroup. And it sounds like either the army or the police are just coming down the other way to meet us to take us on the next little leg.
They haven't got enough police. So, yeah, we're waiting for a few more, I suppose.
But in Egypt, the rewards of riding in this fascinating country far outweigh the inconvenience of security checks. There's much on offer here. Soon they arrive in Luxor, home to what was once the pharaoh's capital. At the height of their power, Luxor was Egypt's center for wisdom, art, literature, religious and political supremacy. Very few places in the world compare to the scale and grandeur of Luxor's surviving monuments. Waiting outside is their police convoy. The riders have to keep reminding themselves that these security procedures are there to protect them. This area is the Muslim Brotherhood Heartland, an organization that the Egyptian government has labeled terrorists. While it may be frustrating, without such a strong police presence, the riders would be very vulnerable in this area. Even a flat tire gets their full attention. Such is the concern for safety that the police are handing control of security to their specialist international counter-terrorism division.
It's going to be interesting. We've got a military convoy today, so military convoy down. So far we've just had police, and they've been interesting, to say the least. AK-47s and Uzis, so we'll see what the military has to offer today. This is sort of Brotherhood land, so apparently this run that we're doing at the moment is one of the more dangerous parts, where they like to sort of do kidnappings and etc.
There's no other way to travel for me than on a motorcycle, and to get out there in the elements and deal with everything and see people, and you just don't get any other experience in the world. I have a wife, but we're divorced as of a month ago, or will be, and no children, nothing. So no, I kind of like it like that, I guess.
The terrain has turned to desert and the temperature is rising. It's currently 38 degrees. They are scheduled to enter Sudan tomorrow, where it will be much, much hotter. But there will be no cool beer at the end of the ride day. Sudan is an alcohol-free country, and the penalty for drinking alcohol is 40 lashes of the cane.
And I'm going to start getting cranky tomorrow when there's no drink involved. There'll be no more Mr. Nice Guy.
To get to Sudan, they cross the Nile on a vehicle ferry.
Well, Sudan, I know very little about Sudan. I'm anticipating some fairly warm weather. I'm looking forward to camping out. Then it starts to feel like an adventure.
Stuart is a navigator seaman by profession, so he enjoys time at the wheel.
Stuart the helm, we got this going, don't worry.
But Stuart's mind is on something much more profound coming up in his life.
I'm riding for a goal, and the goal is to marry my girlfriend at the end of this trip. I want to propose to my girlfriend Lauren, and it's she doesn't know yet, but hopefully when we get down to Cape Town, I want to get off the bike and propose to her.
Egypt has been a roller coaster ride for the group. They've witnessed at first hand some of Earth's oldest man-made structures, built by ancient people to exacting standards. But it's also been slow and frustrating with security protocols. The police deliver them safely to the border. Who knows what difference their presence made?
Passport.
Now it is time to check out the Egyptian bureaucracy to see if it has improved since arriving in Egypt. I guess not. No real surprises here. For a country that conceived bureaucracy 5,000 years ago, you would expect some advancement. But now there's a bigger problem. By the time they get through the paperwork, the Sudanese border is closed for the day.
It's taken the Egyptians about, 14 hours to process a bit of paperwork to let us out. It's not too bad, it only took about a week to get us in, so they've been hard work the whole way. There's the Sudan border, there's the Egyptian border. This is officially no man's land, so we're going to set up camp and have some dinner and get some sleep.
And only 10 more borders to go. They are now in the Nubian desert, where rainfall is almost non-existent, and the temperatures reach 50 degrees Celsius.
I think it was 35 degrees at about 8 o'clock this morning, and it's getting hotter. It'll go over 40. Yeah, definitely today. Yeah, probably closer to 50.
Sudan is a fascinating country. In some ways, it's like going back to biblical times. There's an intriguing fusion of Middle Eastern and African cultures.
Welcome to Sudan.
Hello. The group are special guests at a tea party hosted by our Sudanese fixer. Some of his family have traveled from Khartoum to meet the riders.
People Magdi.
It's a great introduction to the gentle, hospitable and friendly manner of the Sudanese people. From here, they push deeper into the Nubian desert. One of the highlights here in Sudan are the Meroe Pyramids. But getting there requires some sand riding. Just entering the campsite is causing problems for some.
And up the hill and down. That was like the most pathetic like drop. Yeah. It was like, oh, I can't be arsed, I'm just going to let go of the bike. And then there is a lot of pushing. Oh yeah. You sprayed sand all inside my boots.
This light is just perfect. You can't take a bad photo.
It is gorgeous. Stinking hot, bloody dry. There's a big day today, 600 Ks, and of course Sudan we can't get a drink for love nor money. So I've worn my beer shirt just to remind me of what the beer's really like. And
either Ray is suffering heat stroke or is getting delirious without a cold beer.
Yeah, we're just about at the end of our tether, so I've been thinking of different ways I could do this, you know. And I thought of those Brazilian football commentators, you know, where they go, "Goal!"
It's only 6:30 in the morning and the sun is already starting to sting. There's a nervous calm amongst the riders. They are about to be severely tested with deep sand getting to the pyramids. These conditions are different to anything they've encountered so far on this expedition. The sand is very soft in places, making it very challenging and quite technical. Overall, they did okay, and besides, it's good experience for the more difficult terrain up ahead.
Oh, it had its challenges. Nearly threw me at one stage early in the piece. So it's not bad. No, it was good fun. Hey, the challenges are there. The whole trip is a challenge, and this is one of them, I reckon. So.
Although not as old or as large as the Egyptian pyramids, there were more pyramids in this one small section of the Sudanese desert than in the whole of Egypt. Classified a World Heritage Site in 2003, Meroe was a wealthy metropolis of the ancient kingdom of Kush. These pyramids were built about 3,000 years ago on top of burial chambers, housing the kings and queens of the Meroitic kingdom. The entrances usually face east, greeting the rising sun. From the Meroe pyramids, they continue south towards the capital city, Khartoum. Soon they're out of the desert and the blazing heat. The terrain is changing and the country is getting greener.
We found a nice shady little spot here. The lady selling peanuts, she made a killing. She come straight over here and everyone bought some peanuts off her, and she's probably made almost a month's wages out of us in about 5 minutes. So yeah, it's all right.
It's not too bad. It's only like 36 degrees, which is positively cool compared to 40.
The group have been camping rough this past week, so they are pretty happy to arrive in Khartoum, where they can sleep in a proper bed, do some washing, and communicate with family and friends. Stuart is talking to his girlfriend, who hopefully has no idea he's planning on asking her to marry him.
Well, the problem at the moment is how I'm actually going to get the ring before I get to the Cape, because Lauren and Max's girlfriend are arriving at the airport, and Max's girlfriend Robin has the ring. So do we quickly try and go to the airport first and get the ring, or do we try and get the ring when we get there? So that's the logistical nightmare at the moment.
While Stuart tries to work out the logistics of his pending proposal, Jack gets a call with potentially catastrophic news.
Just found out that there's been some people killed in the last week on the Ethiopian-Sudan border, and so the sketchy information that we've got is that the Ethiopian side is closed until further notice. There's not a lot of options. In fact, there's zero options. That's our border to down on the southwest is a big swamp and a war zone, and to our southeast is the Red Sea. So we've got a little strip of land. So it's not looking good at the moment. My heart's in my mouth. Yeah, this is just about the worst news we can get.
With the expedition on the line, Jack is desperately trying to get some clarity.
Who is your best contact in Ethiopia? We're just working on that. That's the best thing. Yeah. The Ethiopian border, somebody goes to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The Minister of Foreign Affairs.
George Pagolatis is the manager of the hotel and has lived in Sudan for 30 years.
We have no information when it's going to reopen, and we have no information if it's open now. So we are trying to go with the local authorities to get some information.
He has arranged the chief of police to meet with Jack.
That'd be great. If you could find out whether the border's closed, that'd be really good. And I will be able to work out on the map where we're going to stay. Okay. Yeah.
While Jack and Justin try to find out more, the rest of the group visit one of the most fascinating rituals on Earth. A weekly ceremony performed at the Hamad Anil Mosque. It's like entering another world. These worshippers are called Sufi, and their path to God is reached through chanting, singing, music, and dance. They often wear colorful robes, dancing to the beat of drums, twirling and stamping their feet until they enter a trance-like state, so their souls can be cleansed of evil. It's been a tense 24 hours for Jack. But unfortunately, he still has no clarity on the border.
Straight the wheels.
He has no choice. He must make a decision, rightly or wrongly.
This morning we're leaving Khartoum. We're heading south to towards the Ethiopian border. We don't know if it's open. The latest news is sketchy, so all we can do is head south and hope on this one. So one of the scenarios is we get to the Sudanese-Ethiopian border and they just won't let us through. So in that case, it's going to be waited out or turn around and come back and it's all over. You know, if we can't get through, there's no options.
With no further information available, they just have to hope the border is open. With a police escort leading them to the outskirts of Khartoum, their 540-kilometer ride to the Ethiopian border is going to seem very long. It is hard to tell, but this dusty street full of hawkers, crumbling shop fronts, farmers and donkeys is actually the Ethiopian-Sudanese border.
Australia. This is customs.
Finally, Jack gets some good news. The border is opened, and they are free to travel through to Ethiopia. Ethiopia immediately feels so different. It's lusher, greener, and there's plenty of crops and farm animals. It's such a contrast to the hot, dusty desert they've become used to. But what strikes you most about Ethiopia is the volume of people. And to make matters worse, it seems like all 95 million Ethiopians are walking along the road.
Literally, as soon as we cross the border, the chaos starts. It's like riding through a shopping mall in places. People all over the road, donkeys, horses, goats. They're coming at you from all directions.
There's horses, there's goats, there's sheep, there's cattle, and even camels today. There was probably 150 camels walking down the road today.
But it wasn't a camel or a person that caused Ray to come to grief. It was a donkey.
Motorbike is very basic, as we all know. There's no ABS on that thing. And I just locked up the front wheel, and I was trying to steer around the donkey as well. And when I locked the wheel up, the front just washes straight out from underneath you and puts you on your side.
At least Ray can now have a medicinal ale, now that they're out of Sudan.
Beer purchase for the group, camp. It's getting late and everyone needs one.
Do a lot of camping, motorcycle camping, bush camping, camper van camping. Love it.
Having been diagnosed with diabetes type 1 just a few weeks before he left for Africa, Ron is philosophical about his condition.
It's one of those things that it just lets you know that you're a human animal. These things can happen. Why it happens at 60, God only knows. Nobody can tell me that. But I'm always a person that, look, you just deal with whatever you're handed. Give it a little squirt to make sure that there's no air. Dial up 7 units, find a bit of fat, hold it for a while, make sure it all goes in. I'm done. Good till lunch. So 4 times a day doing that. Pain, but not too onerous.
The Ethiopian highlands contain the largest continuous area of high-altitude land in the whole of Africa and are often referred to as the roof of Africa. It's absolutely breathtaking up here, and riding is by far the best of the journey.
It's the curves, it's just motorbike heaven, you know, it's just curves and hills and beautiful scenery. It's sensational. It is spectacular.
We're here in Ethiopia at some of the twistiest roads in all of Africa. We're setting up a shot here to film the motorbikes. So we need a clear road, and we have tons of kids. There's never a shortage of kids and people around when you're trying to set something up. As soon as you stop, they surround you. So I'm trying to clear the road, get a clear shot to get rid of all the kids. How come you're not scared? Go, go! Kick in the butt, kick in the butt. And there it is, clear.
When I was 16, I decided I wanted to be a Hollywood stuntman.
Bikes!
I moved to Hollywood to chase that dream. It started slow, but then I had a really crazy good career. And being a career motorcyclist, while I was taking a break from the film industry, this opportunity came up to be guiding tour adventure riders in South America. So I thought I'd jump onto that and see what that's all about. So I spent about 1.5 years in South America, and that brought me onto this opportunity, which I jumped at because I have never been to Africa before. I've never experienced it this way, the non-officially touristy way. And here we are.
This morning, Jack is outlining a few different routes to today's destination, Lalibela. They can either ride along the tar road or take a more scenic gravel route.
We're going on the gravel this morning. I think it's only 60 odd kilometres.
in the gravel or just want to have a nice...
The pack seems to be quite split. Some going gravel, some going the long way.
No, I'm going to do the easy one, mate. I don't need to do the dirt. But who knows we don't know what's in store with the other one. You know, it could be, we don't know whether the road's finished or what sort of work they've got on it. So it's right.
One of the major challenges of riding in Ethiopia is avoiding the sea of people using the road as a footpath. It's a constant hazard for the group. Now that concern has turned into a harsh reality. Ian has collided with an elderly person.
Okay, Ian got the pedestrian. The pedestrian is looking the other way, walked right into the road.
It doesn't take long before a very large crowd gathers. Jack and Justin are on the scene pretty quickly, along with some local police. As the rest of the group start arriving, they are concerned that the raw emotion in the crowd will get out of control quickly.
Ian, go. Go.
They encourage Ian to leave.
It's sort of against all of those natural instincts, but you want to stay and make sure the guy was okay.
If he'd have hung around, that mob would have torn them apart. You know, there was a lot of emotion there.
The man has his family, some police officers, and plenty of support around him now. There's not much more Jack and Justin can do.
One guy there went for, looked as though he wanted to attack Justin, and at that point I just had to make a call of the safety of the crew and the vehicle and say, hey, let's get out of here.
The riders stick to their original plan, splitting into two groups. Most riding on the tar road, while Ian and a few others ride along the gravel. The police, who are obviously looking for Ian, constantly stop the main group.
A van had tipped over on its side, and the police were there, and they stopped us, and they checked all of our number plates. And the aim was, they knew what they're looking for, and they wouldn't let us go. And they finally gave us the all clear, so we rode on. So we did about another 50 k's. We stopped at the town just up the road here for a drink. The police were there again, and they wouldn't let us go. They're looking for a specific motorbike. And after they checked all of our number plates again, they said we could go. So it's 2 checks now in the space of about 50 k's. So they're on radios or on phones.
But there are no police checks on the dirt road that Ian and the others ride on. But when he arrives in Lalibela, Ian is met by a group of police.
I think there was a potential safety issue there for everybody, and even after I'd gone, some other people stopped as well. And the situation seemed to be sort of compounding and getting worse. Even though there were 2 policemen on the scene, every couple of minutes the crowd was sort of doubling in size and becoming a bit more aggressive. So, yeah, maybe it was the right thing to do for everybody's safety, but it's still quite a hard thing to do. He's okay, it's not life-threatening, which is great news. But again, you don't need to be hit very hard by one of these to be hurt quite badly. But also feeling quite guilty that I hit somebody and left him.
Later that night, the police took Ian back to the village where the accident occurred. Here, Ian met the injured man and his family. His injuries were not considered major and was sent home from the medical clinic the following day. Ian was not charged with any offences. If you didn't know better, you might assume that Lalibela is just another dusty rural Ethiopian town. It was only recently connected to electricity. There are no petrol stations and no paved streets. Isolated from the modern world, this deeply religious town goes about its business much as it has for several hundred years. But it's what's underneath that makes Lalibela so special. 11 rock-hewn churches, each one carved using just chisels and hammers, entirely out of single blocks of granite and descending 40 feet below ground level. Built in the 13th century on the orders of King Lalibela, legend has it that the hard work by thousands of laborers on this New Jerusalem during the day was continued at night by angels after the workers went to bed. Like everywhere else in Ethiopia, when they stop their bikes, they become the main attraction.
They stop and they come, crawling out of the woodwork, out of the whatever. Very cool.
It's been actually hard work. It's really slow going today. The roads have been really shitty. It's been quicker actually, where the roads haven't been made at all. There's so many potholes. So we're weaving around trying to get through it. It's good fun, but I mean, it's taken us 4 hours to do these 140 kilometers. We normally do 140 kilometers in an hour and a half or a couple of hours. So, and we still got another 300 to go. So it's going to be a long day, I think.
Today, they're trying to make the Kenyan border before nightfall. Even a minor puncture turns into a major event.
And then it's everywhere you go in Ethiopia, it's exactly like this. We just get surrounded. When we pulled up for lunch, there was 2 people walking down the road. And as soon as half a dozen of us pulled up, there was 40 people there. And that's just the way it happens around here. And unfortunately, I've got a flat tyre right in the middle of a fairly busy town. They haven't really got the gear here. I'm worried I might just butcher this.
With the crowd growing to massive proportions, creating traffic hazards, a couple of police take control of the crowd.
Probably just blew the tube up, I think. It's got jammed between the rim lock and the rim, so we've just stuffed the tube.
Been here now an hour and a half changing one tire on one motorcycle. A long time, too long, twice as long as we should be. And we still have a lot of miles to go. And the sun's going down, it's late in the afternoon. It's getting tight.
With 2 hours lost getting the tyres sorted, they are now in a race against time to reach the border, a race they will not win. Riding in Africa at night is too dangerous. It compounds the dangers by tenfold.
You know, with the situation, when problems arise, we're always against the clock. Once the sun sets, that's it. We can't ride at night. It's just far too dangerous. The amount of animals on the road, people, it's just crazy. You're really running the odds if you ride after sundown.
They stop about 100 kilometers from the Kenyan border. Fortunately, the border crossing into Kenya was very straightforward. But Stuart has other concerns. In his research about this section of the journey, he has read some disturbing news and is pretty anxious about safety.
We've just come through the Ethiopian-Kenya border, and now we're in the no man's land, and there's not a single soul, which is it's nice, but also makes you slightly concerned why there's nobody here. And this stretch that we're on now for the next 300 k's is sort of very well known for bandits. It's sort of bandit country. You've got Somalia just up over there, and this is sort of where Ethiopia, Kenya and Somalia meet, and there's a lot of trouble going on in Somalia with Boko Haram coming in and sort of doing their thing. And apparently they don't like Westerners too much.
Yes, it's true, the next section has an alarming reputation. But as Jack said, Africa is a continent full of extremes. One moment you're laughing, the next you're terrified. Our team are about halfway through their adventure, but they cannot relax yet, because coming up, they've got dirt, gravel, and more sand. But also, they have the never-ending savannas, teeming with beautiful African wildlife. The journey has just begun. See you next time for the concluding episode of Beyond Sahara, riding from Cairo to Cape Town.